Hello YouTube and welcome to this video based on how to defend a rush in the Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition game. So in this video I'm going to show you hopefully how to defend a rush. Now just to give you some context, I am spawning here in the south, playing as the Dutch in the blue, and I'm playing the Spanish in the north. This game was played at about 1400 ELO, so not the best, not the worst. It won't be perfect if you're sort of used to watching pro level games. There will be a lot of mistakes in this game, but at the same time it's by no means the sort of bottom level of the game. I think this must be played at maybe 400, 500 on the ladder, but hopefully what it is going to show you, if you're sort of a newer or sort of lower ELO player, what it will show you is how to deal with a rush, because that is one thing that low level players do struggle to deal with is early pressure, early units in your base. So if I do say so myself, it was a pretty good example of how to deal with a rush. So hopefully you'll go away with some knowledge of how to defend rushes in your own game. So we're just gonna look around a little bit and see what happens here. I'll stick on the Fog of War just to give you a bit of context as to what I was seeing. So I'm playing as the Dutch. I'm going to go with 15 villages. What I know that I am going to be doing is facing some early Spanish aggression, whether that's a logistician rush or whether that is a fast fortress timing. I know that I've got to get up early. Fortunately, I did find some coin treasures in my base at the start, which means that I can get my villages out quicker. I can get my villages off the mine. You can see I've overgathered 10 coin, but that's not the end of the world. I can take them off the mine and I can put them on food, which is hopefully going to make sure that I have no idle time with my 15 villager age up. So you can see here that I've got a 65 wood treasure. Immediately, that's going to not help me at all, but what it will do in the transition is mean that I get my bank up quicker, which is going to help my economy. This treasure here is 70 coin. Again, that's not going to help me immediately, but it will mean that in the transition, I have to gather less coin to make my villager in queue. If we have a look at what my opponent is doing, MT410, he's just put up his trading post. That seems to be a little late for a Spanish player. I mean, if it was me, I would be getting that up first thing. So he's probably missed one pass, maybe two passes, so that's not perfect from him. I've scouted his base. What I'm making sure here is that he doesn't kill my envoy, because I need this to scout. It's likely that he will be going with the outpost. The governor, which gives you 200 coin on an outpost, and I need to make sure that when that pops out of his base, when he ages, that I need to be following that to wherever it goes, because that was going to give you an indication of what he is doing. For his second shipment here, he sent 300 wood. I'm not sure that that is a good thing to be doing. I mean, if it was me and I was going to be sending the 300 wood, I would be going up with the logistician and waiting. He's not aging up yet. I'll be waiting to time that so it comes in the second age and you get the free resources with it. But he's opted not to do that. He's opted to go for that in the first age. The Spanish do get a quick shipment, so he's already sent his 3 villages and now he's sending the 300 wood. I'm just going to take a quick drink of water. So he's aged up, and as predicted, he has gone up with the governor, which means, I mean, I don't know this when I'm playing at the time, but he's going to be going up with the outpost and the 200 coin, which suggests that he's going to be going for a fast fortress, although nothing is certain. But that would probably be the strongest strategy for him at this point. If we look at my Fog of War, my envoy here has just spotted a native scout up here, which could be pivotal. It's only protected by one guy, so it can be crackshotted, and even if you don't have your crackshot, you can take him out with the hand attack. You don't want to be taking out the ranged attack because it's got 40, but the hand attack, you can take him out pretty easily with your explorer. If we just check to see if MT140 had scouted this, no, he hadn't scouted this part of the map. He definitely would have taken that had he. We can see here that he's moving his villages. He's moving 4 villages out, which is interesting. That's a lot of villages to be moving out. If we go back to me, I'm crackshotting the pistolero, are they called? You know, the guy. And then I'm going to rescue this native scout, and that is huge for me because it means that I can even more easily track his outpost, which I'm at this point pretty certain is going to be coming out. Meanwhile, I've just aged up with the 400 with the standard age up before the Dutch. I've probably got too many settlers on coin, to be honest, because I've already got one in queue and I've already got 150, but my macro is far from perfect. That noise tells me that we've just put the native scout into stealth mode, so he's now invisible. He's very slow, but he's invisible. If we just take off the fog of war, just aged up that second, so you can see his outpost wagon there. We're pretty certain that this is going to be coming out. We play the Spanish a lot and we're pretty certain this is going to be coming out, so we move in the native scout to track, hopefully track this outpost wagon. We've put on my fog of war. Indeed, there it does come up. So once we see that, we pull the explorer because we don't want him to see this, so we can't move it out of stealth mode, but we pull the explorer. We don't mind if he sees the explorer. We pull that across, and then indeed we spot one barracks. We spot two barracks, and at this point we know that we're gun skirmishers, so really we should have had a barracks up quicker. There it goes up now. Double barracks, not ideal against the Dutch. Anything that comes out of these two military unit buildings in age 2 we can deal with, no problem. Skirmishers can deal with everything that comes out of there. So we put the walls up because we know that he has to come in this direction. I mean, if he wants to walk around this way, we're putting another bank down here. If he wants to come around here, then he's going to have to walk all the way around. So we make sure that he can't just come straight in. We delete the pillars in the wall because it makes them quicker to build, and it also makes them cheaper because you don't have to pay the 5 wood for the pillar. There are a couple of videos, I'll just pause it here actually. There are a couple of videos on how to delete pillars and walls. So I will link those in the description below, but they are sort of a, you know, a pro in inverted commas technique which do help to get walls up quicker and defend rushes. This is one of the key things in defending a rush, really, is sensible walls. You don't be walling off your entire base because that's going to take up too much wood, it's going to take up too much time, but if you put up sort of sensible ones like this, he now has to either stand here and destroy these, or he has to walk all of the way around, neither of which he wants to be doing because he's trying to put me under early pressure. I mean, at this point, it's 6 minutes and my 4th bank is going up, which means that I have 19 plus essentially 16 villagers because a bank is worth 4. Now, one thing that I didn't do was get my skirmishers out early enough. Really, I should have had 5 out now. And then it was game over almost already because he's committed to 2 barracks. And if I had 5 skirmishers out here, he can't kill them. He's got 12 range with these musketeers. So if they'd been out, I would have put them here, picked off one, picked off the next, picked off the next. As it happens, because I was a bit late, it does make it easier for him. I mean, I think he's already picked up 1 villager. He's probably going to get a second one. I get the snare off with the explorer, which means that they're going to be slower. We take 1, but we lose 1 skirmisher. And if I just pause it again, what I should have done was make my skirmishers come out here, because 5 skirmishers, 1 shots, 1 musketeer. If you lose 1 and you've only got 4 skirmishers, you no longer 1 shot the musketeers. As it happened, it was almost irrelevant anyway. We've got the Minutemen pop. The Rodoleros, now the skirmishers at ranged shred these. Rodoleros get skirmishers and hand attack. That's not good news. So I mean, at this point, I'm not worried as such. I've got more skirmishers in queue. I'm actually housed, which isn't ideal, but we should be able to get a house up before to get the 5th skirmisher out. We get the snare off on the musketeers with the explorer, so that means we can fire at them as they escape. And to be honest, at this point, you know, I'm seeing his crossbows come in. I've only got 1 barracks and I've got the wood come in. At this point, it's almost game over. I mean, not necessarily game over, but I mean, I've got 19 villagers. He's got 21 villagers, but I've got 4 banks. So it's essentially looking like 31 villagers to 21 villagers, where I can put down another bank as well. So he does have quite a mass here. He's gone for crossbows because he knows that musketeers can't fight skirmishers, so he gets the crossbows. And if I just pause it here, what he probably should have done at the start, which would have forced me to do something, is to put down a barracks and a stable. Because he's put down 2 barracks, as I mentioned before, all I have to do is put out skirmishers. Skirmishers can be everything that the Spanish put out in age 2. Had he put down a stable and a barracks, I would have been forced into either 1 shipping pikes or 2 producing pikes. If I'd shipped pikes, I probably wouldn't have had a bank wagon, 600 wood, or what was the other shipment that I sent? I can't remember, but I would have wasted a shipment essentially on 8 pikes. If I'd made them at the barracks, I would have had fewer skirmishes, and it would have forced me to make a decision, whereas double barracks against the Dutch is an easy decision. You just make skirmishes, and that's very easy, and that's what I did. Now obviously he's gone for, and you know, I mean, I shouldn't be losing these villages. This is poor. I lose this one, and I lost another one, I think, as well. I shouldn't be doing that really, but, and I'm probably going to lose one here as well, maybe. He should have killed that, but he didn't. I might lose one here. Yeah, that's another one that I lost that I shouldn't have. But I've put down the stable because he's now making crossbows, and Huss will destroy crossbows. I mean, skirmishers do a job against them anyway, but Huss completely destroy them. At this point, yeah, he's gotten a couple of villages down. You know, he's kind of evened it up a little bit. Well, not really. He's got 22 vills. I've got 19 vills. But all of this really, this advantage that I have now, came from the fact that I scouted this and built these walls, and built a little wall with the banks and the house. I mean the walls have 1500 HP, the banks have 4000 HP, so these actually are kind of like almost 2.5 layers of wall in themselves. If I'd really wanted to go for it, I probably would have built another couple down here, but at this point I knew that the game was almost won. We get 2 husses out there, which normally you wouldn't be building 2, you'd want to get more, but I knew that I had these coming out here, so I've got 5. And from this point there's nothing really that he can do to win. I'm following. I think I thought it was done in stealth mode, but it wasn't. But from this point, I mean, they're pure crossbows, 5 Huss, it's a couple of Minutemen chucked in and an Explorer. It's pretty much game over. He didn't build any War Dogs either, which is unusual. He's made another mistake because he's under pressure. He shipped his coin forward, so now these villagers have to collect from here. I mean, fortunately for him, he did have 4 villagers up front, which is kind of a questionable decision in itself. At this point we actually scout a stable, which could be bad news for our skirmishers. But I mean, at this point he's lost his mass, it's pretty much game over. This is what happens when you ship coin forward, unfortunately. Your villagers die, so that was a mistake from him. He does actually pop 5 Huss out, which, had he microed those better and put those onto the skirmishers here, this fight might have ended worse for me than it did. It didn't end great for me anyway because I lost all of my Husses. But by the time my Husses had gone, he only had sort of 1.5 left. I mean, I should be shooting this one at this point because it would be getting killed. And look at that 0 health. I mean, DE, what a game. But I mean, it doesn't look particularly good numbers wise, but we're pretty confident here. We've got 23 vills. We know that the Dutch outscale the Spanish in every way. He's got 25 vills, but we've got essentially, you know, another 16 vills here. So we've got 39 vills essentially. So here's 25. We are population capped, as happens so often with the Dutch. We're hiding these Huss. From his point of view, he can't see them, so he doesn't know that we've got. I mean, he knows that we've got a stable, and he can also probably see the score as well. So he's looking at this and thinking that's bad news. He's sort of, you know, 33% ahead of me, which is not a good place to be, especially when the scores are this low. He's building more Huss. I'm shipping pikes because I know that that's the only thing that he can do. But I'll repeat it again. The main reason that I won this game is because I scouted his base. So point number 1 is to always scout. Point number 2 is if you know you're going to be under pressure, make sensible walls like these, and I'll leave a description on how to build those walls below. And build your base intelligently. Don't just chuck your buildings down. Build them as part of the wall themselves. I mean, walls only have 1500 HP. A house perhaps isn't ideal because it's only got 1200, but you know, a barracks I probably should have put in there. It's got 2500. A market's got 2000. And this must be the point at which the game ends, because this is going to be a convincing win. Micro not great from either player, to be honest, but nevertheless the mass was too great, and he realises at this point that it's game over. We look again, 4 banks, the equivalent of 16 villages. We're on 42 villages. He is on 31. But if I go over the main points again, the first thing that I did was scout his outpost wagon here. The second thing was to know that he went double barracks, and therefore all I have to do is make skirmishes for the immediate part of the game anyway. build sensible walls so he can't just walk in. For example, at the start, if he just walked in, he would have been able to see these villagers and maybe pick a couple off. Because of these walls, he has to walk all of the way around. Had I got my skirmishers out on time, it would have been even more convincing, because I would have just been shooting at them as they walked around. As it happened, they could just walk around without shots because I didn't get them out early enough. But really, I probably should have put the barracks here to make it more difficult for him to get in. But it was a pretty convincing win, really. Not the best strategy, really, as the Spanish. I mean, perhaps he was thinking that I would assume that he was going to go fast fortress, which is what I assumed. But nevertheless, it wasn't too difficult to pull off this particular win. If we just look at the post-game military unit population, so he was ahead early on. I mean, he needed to win essentially at this point, but there was little chance of that. If we look at the resources gathered, where is it? Yeah, from you know, I put up the 4th bank here, and then you can see it just goes up and up and up and up and up, and it doesn't really stand a chance. Villager count actually stays roughly the same, given that I've got 4 banks. You know, I mean, I lost 2. I lost 3. Yeah, I lost 3 villagers. So I mean, if I hadn't lost those, and had I been a better player, I would have been on 29 to 31. So it just goes to show that if you know what to do, defending a rush, actually once you get up to a certain level, rushing is no longer the sort of best strategy to go for. It's much better to defend and then counter push, as I did here. So if you have made it this far in the video, I do thank you for watching. I do hope you learned something, actually. That would be the main thing. So if you did like the video, then please do like, comment and subscribe. It would help me very much. And we will hopefully see you in the next one. Thank you.